feel this platform can help many people understand what is going in the life of teenagers and their perspective.
We hope we can inspire you guys to message in your experiences. We will make them anonymous if you wish. If you want to call in, our telephone number is 01902 972 150. And if you would like to text any messages, text on our WhatsApp number 074 40 420 432. But remember, you cannot call on WhatsApp. We also would love you guys to message in your questions, any topics you want us to discuss, and it would be amazing for you guys to call in and we could have a discussion.
So today's show is our second episode in our bullying series. Last week we spoke about the three main types of bullying, and which are verbal bullying, physical bullying and relational bullying. We have also touched on how bullying can impact a person's mental health and their self-esteem, and where you can get help from.
The topic we will be discussing today is cyberbullying. This is the fourth and final main type of bullying. We will talk about most aspects of cyberbullying. For example, what is cyberbullying, the impacts it can cause, and how to overcome it. Near the end of the show, we will also talk about why kids bully.
And next week we have a guest star coming who will be a Met Office policeman who will talk to us about the different aspects of bullying they face, such as the cases they receive, how you can report bullying to them, and what it's like to have it dealt with, the legal aspect. As you know, bullying can be a very sensitive topic, but we feel if we talk about it, it may encourage victims to reach out and ask for help. We know some people who are suffering from bullying do not like being called the victim. However, for this program, it will be necessary to address the sufferer as the victim.
So, do you know what the definition of cyberbullying actually is?
No, I'm not too sure.
Okay, so cyberbullying is when bullying takes place over digital devices like phones, laptops, and computers. Cyberbullying can occur through many different forms over the internet, since it's such a wide and vast place. Some of these are through text, apps, social media apps, which is a big one, games where you can communicate with friends and strangers, anonymous apps, which are apps where you can send people messages but they won't know who sent what. And there are a few of many places cyberbullying can occur through.
Cyberbullying includes sending, posting, or sharing negative, harmful, false, or mean content about someone else. It can include sharing personal or private information about someone else, causing embarrassment or humiliation. Some cyberbullying crosses the line into unlawful or criminal behaviour. This means that the police can get involved. The most common places bullying occurs is in places like social media, such as Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok.
Text messaging and messaging apps on your phone or iPad and tablet devices.
Instant messaging, direct messaging, and online chats over the internet.
Online forums, chat rooms, and message boards.
Emails.
Online gaming communities.
And finally, anonymous commenting apps.
Online threats are mean, aggressive, or rude texts. Tweets, posts, or messages all count. So posting personal information, pictures, or videos designed to hurt or embarrass someone else.
Cyberbullying also includes photos, messages, or pages that don't get taken down, even after the person has been asked to do so. In other words, it's anything that gets posted online that is mean and hurts somebody else.
Online bullying and harassment can be easier to commit than other acts of bullying because a bully doesn't have to confront his or her target in person.
Cyberbullying has become increasingly common among many teenagers. As the digital sphere has expanded, the technology has advanced. With cyberbullying, it doesn't stop as soon as you get home. It can happen anywhere at any time. It can continue during the day and during all hours of the night.
Sometimes cyberbullying is a single person sending a cruel text, but can also be a group of people posting hurtful things about someone to other people. And then those kids forward the message to even more people, which eventually get around to a lot of people. This is quite similar to rumours being passed around.
More examples of behaviour that can be cyberbullying are spreading rumours or gossiping about someone online. We touched on this in the last week, and we got a question about how to deal with rumours. Rumours on social media can spread like wildfire, but you have to always remember that those rumours are not true. They are just made up by people who are jealous of you. It might not seem it at the time, but later on, when you look back in later periods of your life, it will make a lot more sense. So, my advice is to just not respond to them because online your words can get twisted very easily.
Making fun of someone in an online chat that includes multiple people. This one's quite self-explanatory.
Pretending to be another person by creating a fake online profile. If you fall victim to this, my advice is to report the profile or account immediately and get as many as your friend to do it as well, and the social media will remove their account. If you don't know how to do this, there are many different procedures of different apps.
For example, on Snapchat, you will need to click.
We are getting a call.
We're getting a call.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
What's-
I have a question with regards to cyberbullying.
Okay.
So my name is Arisha Aziz, and I'm from Dewsbury in West Yorkshire. And my question is, do you think that parents should make their children adhere to legal guidelines regarding the minimum age for social media accounts? For example, the minimum age for making a Snapchat account is 13, and do you think that this age should be increased in order to prevent or reduce cyberbullying rates?
Well, that's a really good question. So for me, I think that if I say that the age should be older, that's quite hypocritical of me. So I think that before parents allow children to get an app, they should have a sit down with the child and see, because you know your child best, so you could see if they tell them about the wide world, how social media is different than to the real world, how things can be said and people can say things behind a screen and not take anything account to it.
Yes. Expanding on that, I think that with a lot of children, they think as soon as they become a teenager, it's like they're a completely different person.
Yeah.
However, you were only 10 3 years ago. You are not experienced as many older children would be. You've only just started secondary school, so you're not quite familiar with the things that can happen. With the age, maybe it could be to a higher age, but I think that because with everybody they have different maturity levels, it really depends on the person and if you feel like you can deal with situations that can occur.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there anything
Okay, thank
else?
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we were talking about how to block someone or report a social media account. So for example, on Snapchat, you will need to click on their profile and then you'll see 3 dots on the right hand corner. Then you will see an option that says report written in red. When you click on that, you will see different options asking you why you are reporting the user. The 4th one down says they are pretending to be me. You will click on this option and then Snapchat will take it in their hands to sort it out for you.
If you have someone impersonating you on Instagram, what you need to do is you can directly report them to Instagram. Reports can either be made within the app or by filing a form. This form requires you to provide an official photo ID, such as a driving license or a valid report, in order to prove your identity. If you are a friend or a parent or carer to someone who is being impersonated on Instagram, you can report the account using a form for Instagram Help Center. But in the most cases, the report has to be made from the profile of the person who's being impersonated, and you cannot do this on their behalf. It is recommended you contact the person being impersonated and encourage them to report them to Instagram. If you ever forget any of these ways of how to report, you can always search up on Google. It is a very vast, knowledgeable site, and there are different ways if you are unsure of how to report this matter.
So if we haven't mentioned your social media that you're being impersonated on, then you can just search it up on Google and then Google will tell you. So the next one is threatening or intimidating someone online or in text messages. Children, teens, and even adults pretending to be teens can send death threats and intimidating messages all behind a screen thinking it's okay. This type of behavior is not okay at all. As someone who's received these types of messages in the past, the best thing you can do is first take screenshots of the messages and then block the person immediately and tell a responsible adult.
Taking an embarrassing photo or video and sharing it without permission. This is a serious case as it is illegal to take a photo of someone without their permission. This can put the victim in serious danger if their school uniform or they have some identification that is visible in the photo. If you fall victim to this, then there are many ways that you can take down the photo as soon as possible.
So on Snapchat, to report a snap someone has sent you, you press and hold down on the snap until a white flag button appears. Tap on it and report the person to Snap and then let them know what's going on. Same procedure for a story.
On Instagram, to report a post, click on the top right of the post and then click Report Inappropriate and follow the on-screen instructions. I know that especially in secondary school, we do like to take loads of photos with our friends to cherish the moments and the memories. However, if the person who is in the photo does not give consent, this is a legal issue and you can be reported to the police.
And you shouldn't post like the picture as a joke because you don't know what the other person's feeling.
Yeah, and also for your own safety, you should not post photos in your school uniform.
Yeah.
You never know who could just turn up at your school or at your home or may find more details about you, and this is very, very unsafe.
And it's very common as well.
It is very common, yeah.
It's important to know that not all online conflicts between children and teens are cyberbullying. Sometimes kids get into arguments on social media. It's part of growing up. You have a few arguments that you learn from for the future. For example, while texting, teens may use inside jokes and banter, and if someone else is reading that conversation, it can be misunderstood in a way that it was not intended to be read.
But there are ways to determine if the behaviour falls under cyberbullying. If a person is sending hurtful messages on purpose on a regular basis, then it's cyberbullying. There are also instances where someone constantly keeps adding you into a group chat that you don't want to be a part of, and you've clearly made it obvious that you don't want to be there. The best thing to do is to report the person and block them straight away.
Online bullying can be particularly damaging and upsetting because it's usually anonymous or hard to trace. It's also really hard to control, and the person being victimized has no idea how many people have seen the messages or posts. Once we post a picture or comment on the internet, traces can always be found. Do you know what that is called?
So this is called a digital footprint. Sorry, everyone has a digital footprint. What exactly is it and how does it work? Well, every time you go online, you leave a trail, and if you take a look at the history section on the website browser, you can see every website that you have visited in the past. You must remember that even if you have cleared your tracks, it will be there forever. Lybah and I know people who think they are smart to change their IP address. However, their device will always be able to locate where this is coming from. It is also a fact that your phone traces your location, and it traces it best when it is completely powered off. So don't think that you can ever cover up your tracks. We are living in an extremely digital world. You may add data about yourself on a great number of apps and different websites or applications.
It is important to know that if you post something on the internet, it will stay there. On the internet, a digital footprint is the word used to describe that trail. Traces or footprints that people leave online. So any mean and hurtful comments and posts you will make will always be there even if you do delete it. Since it's online, anyone could have screenshotted what you said about another person, and traces can always be found. Keep that in mind.
So with this information that we have just said, you always need to be careful with what you do online. you may be very naive and not know what is happening, you should always keep in mind that if your parents look at your phone, look at your history, you should be okay with what they see. This is a way of knowing if you're keeping within the right areas and just to be safe. I think that when parents tell their children that they have put restrictions, they
Yeah.
get very upset that they don't trust me or they don't want me to do certain things. However, it is all just for your safety
Yeah.
because you never know how or why you've ended up in a specific situation. So, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I agree because parents put restrictions on for a reason. Because at our age, right, or younger, obviously, it's really hard because everyone wants to grow up in the end, and everyone wants to, like, if you have older siblings, you want to be there straight away. You want to jump to that age. You want to do everything they want to do, but you need to keep in mind that you are young and that you should, because the internet is a scary place. Like,
Yes, it
you
is.
can be told so many things that you would never imagine people saying to you,
Yeah.
and it can affect you, like, in a really hard way. So what you need to do is, if you do receive messages, you should, don't be scared. Like, if your parents have put restrictions on and you somehow broke that, don't be scared, don't hide away, because they will help you, because they put those in for a reason. And if they've realized that you've made that mistake, you can learn something from it in the end.
Yes, like for example, with me personally, I have a younger sister who has just received her first phone and she is very excited. She's literally stuck to it all the time. And at first, because she is quite young, she did not appreciate the fact that we've put restrictions or
Yeah.
guidelines for what she can do. However, I know that in the long run, she will benefit from it. It's better for them to not see things at this age which they should, or read things at this age that might happen, and to just prevent that. So we're going to move on to what are the impacts that cyberbullying can cause. So, for many victims, cyberbullying affects their everyday lives and is a constant source of distress and worry. With mobile technology being so freely available, it is an ongoing issue and one that is relentless. Not only does it go on after school, college, or work has finished, but then it also carries through into the next day, and it's an endless cycle. It has been well documented that cyberbullying has resulted into tragic events, including self-harm, and clearly more needs to be done in order to protect vulnerable children and adults from the online bullying.
If you are worried that your child or a loved one might be a victim of cyberbullying, here are some signs to look out for. Low self-esteem.
Withdrawal from family and spending a lot of time alone.
Reluctant to let parents or carers anywhere near their mobiles or laptops.
Finding excuses to stay away from school or work, including school refusal.
Friends disappearing or being excluded from social events.
Changing appearances to try and fit in.
A change in personality, i.e., anger, depression, crying, withdrawn.
Sometimes online bullying, like other kinds of bullying, can lead to serious long-lasting problems. The stress of being in a constant state of upset or fear can lead to the problems with mood, energy levels, sleep, and appetite. It also can make someone feel anxious or sad. If someone is already not in a good state of mind, cyberbullying can make things so much worse.
It's also not just the person who's being bullied that gets hurt. The punishment for cyberbullies can be serious, which I think is a good thing. More and more schools are creating systems to respond to cyberbullying since it's such a critical issue. Schools may dismiss bullies from sports team, suspend them from school. Some types of cyberbullying may violate school codes or even break anti-discrimination laws, so a bully may face legal trouble.
I think that with schools especially, they do a good job of discussing bullying with the pupils and to make them aware. However, because they do it so often
Yeah.
and with a very structured PowerPoint.
And it's usually the same thing every single
Yes,
year.
people lose interest so fast. They should make it more entertaining or like more understandable for children.
Yeah.
Especially when they're younger, because they do not understand what the teacher would be talking about if they've never experienced it before.
Yeah, and they wouldn't concentrate on something that doesn't interest them. Or because when you think of cyberbullying, it's not really you don't really see it as something that's real unless
Yeah.
you've actually experienced it. You're just like, oh, it's just something that happens.
Yeah, and I think that with cyberbullying, it's just a case of trying to prevent it from happening to the child without the child actually having to ever face it,
Yeah.
which can be difficult because you don't know what it could be. It could be the most subtle thing that keeps recurring, and the child is actually unaware that this is cyberbullying. I think maybe schools can do programs of when they call the parents in to talk to the parents, to tell them different ways that they can see that cyberbullying is happening.
Yeah, but I also think that social media isn't just a complete bad thing.
No, definitely
Yeah, because
not.
I think every child should be exposed to it as well. Because I think
Yes.
we have a WhatsApp message.
Yeah, you have a WhatsApp message. It says, how would you deal with someone who has your number but you don't know them?
Okay, so, with friends, they can give your phone number to anyone, can't they?
Yes.
Without your permission, and it's just so easy to do that. So you can block on normal messages, you can.
Yes. I think especially when you are in year 7, you've got a brand new phone, you've got a brand new number that you want to learn off by heart. And it's so strange that you've only given your number to one friend and then suddenly you've been added to a whole year group chat that you don't know anyone in. And we were added to so many of those at the beginning of school.
And then you add everyone onto
on your contact list. I think that with people you don't know, you should ask who it is, and if you don't recognize the name, if you have a feeling that this isn't a good person, you should block them straight away, because things can get very out of hand when you don't do it straight away.
I also think that you shouldn't just feel bad for blocking someone you don't know, because that's your decision. You shouldn't feel bad for it.
Yes.
So block them straight away.
We hope that answered your question.
Thank you for the question.
Yes. So if you have any other questions, be happy to just message in on
our WhatsApp number 074 404 20432. And if you want to call us on our telephone number 01902 972 150.
Yes, just keep in mind that you cannot call on our WhatsApp number. You need to ring into the studio if you would like to ask a question. So after the break, we will be covering how you can overcome bullying, different ways that children and parents can put their input. We will also be discussing why people bully. That is a really big, serious case that not many people understand, not many teachers understand. Sometimes your parents have no idea what your behaviour is like in school. Some people try very hard to keep their home life and school life very separate so they can make sure that the school does not contact your parents. However, this type of behaviour is not good. It is very mentally exhausting for the person's mind to constantly being worried and thinking what is going to happen. There are very detailed standards of what you should go through, like the process that you should go through when you are getting bullied. And I think that with this, it helps a lot.
And I think with lots of bullying programs, they've never spoken about the bully, have they? It's kind of a topic that's overlooked when that really is the main issue. That's the reason why it's happening. So I think when we discuss that, it might enlighten you guys. And then, because before I did this research, it never crossed my mind, I'd say. So now I know a lot more about it.
Yes, I think that that's something that people lack is the actual understanding of what bullying really is and the different points of view. Everyone has a different point of view of themselves and the other person. Nobody knows the full story.
Nobody
It's
does.
always
Nobody
like there's
does.
two sides of the story.
Yeah.
If you've only been told one half, or maybe not even half of it, it can get very difficult, especially for someone who's trying to help you.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be beneficial.
Yeah, I think that's also a good point, because when you are being bullied and you're telling someone you trust, I feel like you should give the full story. 'Cause
Yeah,
you
you
can't get
shouldn't-
help the other way.
Yeah. So, as I said, after the break, we will be talking about how you should and can overcome bullying, why bullies become bullies, and also we will be reading 2 short stories
From a bully's perspective.
and discussing. Assalamu alaikum. You are listening to Ramadan Radio. I am your host Shehreen.
And I'm your host Lybah.
Welcome back. So I think we got a WhatsApp message.
Yes, you have. The message says, "Thank you for answering my question. Your show is very helpful."
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much.
We appreciate it.
So what we will be talking about now is how and what you should do to overcome the bullying that you have faced. So and also how you can stop it from happening. Know that it is not your fault. What people call bullying is sometimes an argument between two people. But if someone is repeatedly cruel to you, that's bullying and you mustn't blame yourself. No one deserves to be treated cruelly. I think that especially with secondary school, you may say one comment and then someone else says, stop bullying, stop bullying. But I think that it has been taken out of context so many times that people have actually become unaware of what bullying actually is. Yeah. I think that that it is good to know when to tell someone to stop.
Yeah, because I think if you misuse the word, it doesn't have any meaning. Yeah. And when you're saying that, there may be victims around and they might take that to heart, because then they might be like, oh, maybe I'm overreacting about bullying as well. Maybe my case is not important, but it is, because every bullying is important.
Yeah.
So the next one is don't respond or retaliate. Sometimes a reaction is exactly what they are looking for, because they think it gives them power over you, and you don't want to empower a bully. As for retaliating, getting back at a bully turns you into one and can turn into a mean act into a chain reaction. If you can, remove yourself from the situation. You can do this by blocking the person in every form of social media and their number, so they don't have any way of contacting you. But there are also some situations in which that isn't the answer for everything. If you can't, sometimes humor disarms or distracts a person from bullying. So this is basically saying don't respond negatively, because that causes a chain reaction. So it won't turn into bullying, then it will turn into a fight.
Yeah. I also think that two negatives do not make a positive.
They don't,
they say an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, which is saying if someone is so horrible and mean to you, and if you do the exact same thing, it just turns into a complete mess. And it's not good.
Yeah, if you were listening to our show last week, we had a story, and then at the end of the story, what the victim did is she showed compassion to a bully, and she helped her bully, and then that caused the bully to stop and rethink their actions. And I think that was like a really moving story. You have a WhatsApp message.
Yes, you have a WhatsApp message, and the message goes, what do you think when teenagers have accounts on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp at the same time at a young age?
I think that with so many apps of social media at the same time, it can be very, very overwhelming for one person to deal with.
Yeah.
Because most people do have these common social media apps. There's so many different ways to get to somebody, not necessarily just on one app, on many different apps. We both know people that have been bullied, and no matter if they've blocked them off Snapchat or Instagram, somehow they found their phone number. They can call you, message you. They can also give and share your number to their friends, which is really, really bad. What you should do is just completely block them from everything. But with the case of having so many social medias at a young age, I don't think it is a good idea, because you do really need to slowly make your way into the social media world.
If you have it all at once, then what's the fun really? You just have it all
definitely.
At once.
It's like you can get one app, experiment everything you want to, and see if you enjoy it, and then you can always move on to the next. There's no time limit for anything, and just remember that if you have an app, there is no reason why you cannot delete it.
Yeah, exactly.
Many people forget that you can actually just completely delete it off your phone, and then I know that it doesn't always completely solve the problem. However, it is a help. It is a help and a start.
Yeah, I think having all these apps at once, it can take over your life. I feel like, because if you're checking one app, you'll go to the next, and then as soon as you know, so many hours have passed by and you've just been engrossed in your phone, and then like time's just gone by. And I think that also with social media you can get comments on anything. So like if you're posting like regularly, you can get loads of comments from an array of people, and you might be getting loads of positive ones, but you can also get negative ones. Like obviously with positive comes negative.
Yes.
And it's just human nature to point out like the bad ones, and those can really stick with you. And if you have so many apps, you get loads.
Yes, so we hope that answered your question. Thank you so much for messaging in. So the next point we have is save the evidence. This is a really important one. The good old news about bullying online or on a phone is that it can usually be captured, saved, and shown to someone who can help you. You can save the evidence in case things escalate. This is a really, really important thing to do, especially when so many apps can actually just erase the message. Snapchat especially, after you've viewed the message, it goes from your phone, or you can change it to a 24-hour mode. With these, you should screenshot it so you have evidence to back what you're saying.
Because when bullies know that the message can be deleted straight away, it gives them, they feel like they can just say whatever they like and it'll just go away. But if you have that screen, and
definitely.
that can, okay. And then the next one is to tell the person to stop. This is completely up to you. Don't do it if you're not feel totally comfortable in doing it, because you need to make your position completely clear that you will not stand for this treatment anymore. You may need to practice beforehand with someone you trust, like a parent or a good friend. I think this one's easier said than done.
Definitely,
in most circumstances. But the second part where you should tell someone like so that you trust, I think like everyone should do that.
Yes, I think with this one, it really depends on you. As we said in our last programme, you can stand up to the bully and tell them to stop. However, this can actually escalate and turn into physical bullying, which nobody should have to suffer or face, especially on their own. So our next point is reach out for help, especially if the behaviour is really getting to you. This is easier said than done, like our last point, but you do deserve backup. If there's someone who can listen, help you in the process of what is going on and work through it, such as a friend, relative, or maybe someone you can trust, it will make the situation so much easier. It's like taking so much weight off your shoulders when everything's out in the open, and you don't always need to feel like you're holding it back. So we have another WhatsApp message.
Right, okay. The next message for you girls is this right for teenagers to emotionally blackmail parents that they are not letting them have accounts on various social media whilst their friends have?
I think with this one, it's very difficult because especially with me, with my friends, I think I might have been the last person to actually get the social media, and I did quite a few times say to my mom, all my friends have it, can I not have it? Or why can I not have it? Do you not trust me? I think that with this stance and approach, it's not the best because with your friends, you never know what situations they might be in, what they might be facing. It's really difficult because your parent knows you. Your parents know how you deal with situations, and they know what is online. You may not know, but they do know.
Yeah, they do know how to use the internet.
Yes.
And they've probably gone through this thing in that you may never have known.
Yeah.
And like I feel like emotional blackmailing your parents is a whole thing. Like it is
very extreme.
And for social media as well, I don't think that's like a good enough.
Because whenever you get older, you can always
get it. It's not something that will go out of date because like in year 7, new school, new friends, everyone's got it.
Yeah,
But,
you're
like,
very unsettled as
Yeah.
well, trying to fit in with the people around you. I think it's just like a hype that getting social
Yeah, yeah,
media for the first time at a young age, and then you can do so many different things.
But I also feel like sometimes parents should let the child make some mistakes, like try guide them, but not completely like enclose them into something.
Yes, they definitely have to be
Yeah.
exposed to the real world before they actually reach adult age, and then they're completely on their own and lost.
Yeah.
They should experience some of
Yeah.
these things.
Thank you for your question. The next one is to use available tech tools. As we have told you how to report posts and users on Snapchat and Instagram, most social media apps and services allow you to report the person, whether the harassment in app, texting, comments, or tagged posts do you a favor and block the person. You can also report the problem to the service. That probably won't end it, but you don't need the harassment in your face, and you'll be less tempted to respond. If you're getting threats of physical harm, you could call your local police with a parent or guardian's help and consider reporting it to school authorities.
I think what people need to remember is school can be a very safe place for many people. Even if the bullying isn't happening with two pupils from the school, if it's you and someone else who is not going to the same school as you, you can still tell your school what is happening. They can give you help, and they can allow you to feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
You can also ask, if you don't want to talk to a teacher who knows you personally, you can ask for a counsellor who can come from out who aren't linked with the school, so they can give you an unbiased opinion about the situation that is happening.
Because some people feel more comfortable with talking with professionals like counsellors and that.
Yeah.
But there are also like child lines and lines you can talk to about these things as well.
Yes, and also I think with this, it's good for the person to just get out all their feelings.
Yeah. Get it off their shoulders. Yeah.
So the next point is to protect your accounts. Don't share your passwords with anyone, even if they're your closest friends, who may not be close forever. Remember, I said last week, friends come and go. You may think that you have the bestest friend. However, you don't know where you will be in 1 year's time, or even 6 months' time. Friendships do change. Different things can occur very suddenly, and everything can change within a second.
Yeah, and I hope like people know that your friendship isn't determined by you knowing your friend's password, because I don't get that at all when a friend says to you, I'm your friend, tell me your password.
Yeah, definitely. Friends should appreciate
privacy.
Privacy. You don't always need to know exactly what is happening on the other person's social media account. There's no need. You should just accept what your friend has to say or what they tell you, instead of trying to dig deeper for no reason. Because if you find out something that you shouldn't have, it can cause a very big problem. It can even break friendships.
Your password is your password, and that's your account also. And I feel like if you break up with a friend, like you lose in touch, they will have your password, and they could do so many things on your account. They could do imaginable things like you wouldn't realize.
Like even with both of us, we have had friends to switch up on us within days, within weeks. And it's unreal how much at first they said they cared about you, but actually they've never even liked you for a second. It's very surprising how people can manipulate you and this to actually happen.
So now we're going to talk about some additional advice for parents and carers. So you should know that you're lucky if your child asks for help. Most young people don't tell their parents about bullying online or offline. So if your child's losing sleep or doesn't want to go to school or seems agitated when on his or her computer or phone, ask why as calmly and openly heartedly as possible. It is important you don't assume it's bullying. You won't know until you get the full story, starting with your child's perspective.
Yeah, I think parents should be aware that it's a very difficult situation for the child to be in, especially
Yeah.
if they've never faced it before. It's not that easy to open up, and even if you have the biggest trust and bond, even for someone to open up about situations like this, it can be very difficult.
It's really hard to open up.
Yes. So our next point would be work with your child. There are 2 reasons why you'll want to keep your child involved. Bullying and cyberbullying usually involve a loss of dignity or control over a social situation, and involving your child in finding situations help him or her to regain that. I think with bullying, especially, their self-esteem does go down,
Yeah.
as we spoke last week, and for them to actually see for themselves what they can do to improve the situation will really help bring up their confidence again.
So if they could take control of the situation and then them be in charge of what happens, that would be really good for their self-esteem. Next one is to respond thoughtfully and not fast. What parents don't always know is that they can make things worse for their kids if they act rashly. A lot of cyberbullying involves somebody getting left out, which the bully thinks increases his or her power or status. If you respond publicly, or if your child's peers find out about what, even a discreet meeting with the school authorities, things can get a lot worse, which is why any response needs to be well thought out. I feel like this is a really important one because in a school, if one person sees you with your parents like walking in school, they will tell
immediately judge you, and they will start calling you names for absolutely no reason, even if it may not even be for a situation that has occurred with that child.
Yeah, they won't know anything about the situation
and
at all.
you would be surprised how fast information spreads within secondary school. Literally, it can be 2 minutes that somebody doesn't know, and then the next 2 minutes, the whole class, the whole year can find out. Because people have many connections. Even if phones are prohibited in school, people do use it to text and even call, surprisingly, their friends during school when they are both in the same building. So it can get very out of hand for no reason. So our next point will be what victims say help most is to be heard. Really listen to either by a friend or an adult who cares. That's why if your kids come for your help, it's so important to respond thoughtfully and involve them. Just by being heard respectfully, a child is often well on the way of healing. I think this is a really important one also. Just by having a good listener, they don't even need to comment on anything. They don't need to react or anything. Just by having somebody by you or next to you can be so comforting to just release everything out.
Yeah, without any judgment. I feel like that's the most important. Like, if your child's going through something, I don't think you should find a reason for why she or he's going through that. You should just listen and try and put yourself in their shoes. Try and think about how they're feeling, because I feel like that's the way you can become a good listener.
Yeah, and also with these situations, if anyone is actually suffering through this and you do not want to talk to anyone or tell anyone, a good way that many people do to help the situation is by actually keeping a diary with you or writing down all your feelings and all your emotions, just so you can get everything out there. And some people write down everything and then just rip it up. They feel like they can control their emotions like this, and it does help instead of acting out in anger to someone else or just feeling really upset. Even if you have like a toy, a stuffed animal, you can just talk to it and it does help. It makes you feel a lot better. I think also what people need to realize is that humans are curious. You may think as a parent or as a teacher, why don't the child just block the person, or why have you not done anything beforehand? But you need to remember it's human nature to want to know what people are saying, to want to know everything that has been said about you. You are curious what they are saying, what they are writing, and that's how it is. And they can also feel like if they block the person who is being horrible, some way or another they can come up to them in person.
Yeah,
This can be really scary for especially someone who is shy,
definitely.
and make them feel very uncomfortable with different questions they may ask. So they may think it's just easier to not block them, so I don't need to have that face-to-face confrontation.
Yeah. So now we're going to talk about why do kids bully. So something that isn't talked about is why they bully. There are many reasons why kids bully other kids. A bully may be struggling with personal problems at home. The bullying behavior may be the only way they know how to deal with difficult situations in their personal life, such as parents divorcing, a death of a relative, abuse or humiliation of some sort in their life. This does not mean the bullying behavior is okay.
Sometimes a bully will pick on someone because they are jealous or because they think that it will make them seem bigger and tougher, and it boosts their ego, which should never be tolerated.
When bullies are feeling bad about themselves, they want to make the other person feel bad too, and they do that by taking out their own frustration on others.
There actually have been a time where the bully had been bullied in the past, or feel like the only way to feel better is by taking out their anger or having revenge on someone else. For the bully, behaving in a bullying matter is seen as a way to win friends. All form of bullying and antisocial behavior is unacceptable.
When bullies are targeting their victims, they may seem powerful, dominant, or in control. However, this is merely a facade, because people who are truly confident and comfortable in their positions do not have to bully or demean other individuals to feel good about themselves. Cutting down someone else won't make you any taller, and dimming out someone else's light won't make yours burn any brighter.
If bullies were actually happy, then they would not have to go after any other individuals and make their life feel miserable, and they would not spend their time trying to tear others down. In many cases, bullies choose to go after people around them due to their own unhappiness. Instead of constructively managing this anger, their solution is to lash out at others.
It's important to note that anger, tough times, trauma are never acceptable excuses for bullying other individuals. This does not give us the right to lash out at others and be the cause of someone else's hurt or pain. In most cases, the bullies need to find a constructive manner of handling themselves. Going after other individuals is not the way to handle things.
Some people also have a fear of becoming a target, and this is a common cases where bullying is happening by a whole group of people. When bullying takes place, there are usually bystanders. When bystanders witness someone being bullied, they have a series of options. They can either do the most common thing of just watching and observing, but not actually alerting an adult, or they could choose to involve themselves with the bullying. This is called joint enterprise, and if the police become involved, they can have the same and sometimes worse consequences as the main bullies.
Unfortunately, there are times where bullies join in on targeting someone because they don't want to be victims of bullying themselves. There is a more common occurrence than most people realize. Just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean it's right or okay.
Bullying is bullying. No matter if your friend is a bully, the same person with you, it's still just as bad. You are doing it because you are afraid of becoming a target yourself. This does not excuse the act or erase negative and traumatic effects which bullying has on others.
So now we're going to go into some stories and we're going to walk you through the life of these victims.
When I was 15, in year 10 in high school, I was bullied over the internet at school. I felt like it came out of nowhere. One day, a group of girls I called friends turned against me viciously over Instagram.
They created a fake Instagram profile for me, which contained my cell phone number and instant message name. They photoshopped obscene photographs of me and posted them in this profile. I was getting calls and began to be stalked by strange men.
These girls would make up explicit rumours about me even though they weren't true at all. They would DM me and would send threatening messages. I was afraid to leave the house, to have friends, to pick up the phone. I lived in fear for so long. I knew they were looking for a fight and I refused to give it to them. So I deleted all known online presence and changed my number.
I became a prisoner in my own home. Once I left high school, I applied to college outside of my hometown to run away. Now I am 22 and still have to live with the effects of these cruel girls. Trauma is hard to recover from, but I know it is possible and I am stronger than I used to have ever been. I am not that scared 15-year-old girl, but I am still haunted by that girl I used to be.
So, as you can take from this story, you should not ever be afraid to report accounts and don't think that you can't tell an adult or even the police. We hope you enjoyed our programme about cyberbullying today. Next week, as I said, there will be a police officer to come in and talk about his experiences.
Thank you all for listening.
We hope to see you soon.